Okay, welcome back to our meeting. We're going to start off, we're going to kick it right back in with our guest speaker today, Roger Kvande.
Yeah, I had the fireworks.
So Roger J. Kvande was born in July 1950. He nearly died as a baby. He was abducted as a 3-year-old in 1953, along with his parents and his sister. Upon being told by the alien abductor that he would not remember this, he resolved to remember. He had what might be called mind travel experiences in grade school, beginning in 1956 and continuing until about 1966. He had a nighttime experience in a field with aliens around 1958. He recalls an alien abduction as a 15-year-old in the spring of 1966. He and his son experienced abductions in 1984. He's had a lifetime of amazing experiences. He verbally reported his experiences to Craig R. Lang, our former state director, in about 2000. Lang interviewed Roger and his mother and wrote a report on the experiences. William McNeff took up the investigation in 2004 and encouraged Kvande to write about his experiences, which he did. So that book I showed you, the Extraterrestrial Odyssey, that's the book. His book is now available for download from the northlandmufon.com website. So like I said, I've read the book a number of times. Great book, great story. I really liked it, and I'm really excited to have Roger here with us today. So Minnesota MUFON, please help me in giving a big warm round of applause to Mr. Roger Kvande.
This is my actual book that I just gotten out to the printer, and it's available at northmufon.com, Northland, and you can actually buy it there. I'm going to be giving half the proceeds to MUFON. Anybody that goes through and buys it there, it's $30.25, and hopefully it'll sell a little bit so MUFON can get some money from it. Been very appreciative of MUFON's support, especially Bill. He's been a lot of help to me in trying to get used to the idea that I was abducted. Okay, here we go. Let's try it again. Okay. Now it doesn't actually go to the next. Oh, can I? Well, you see it? If I try to expand it, that's fine. Oh, no, I don't see it now. So, okay, it's gone again. There it is. Okay, I'll have to show it to you this one.
Yep, there you go. Now
you see it?
Yep, we're almost to the second one. Yep. So the 1984 abduction.
Okay, this is the
1954 abduction.
Yeah, I said 53 the first time. That's my mother thought that. I'm thinking that I was 3 years old, almost going on to 4, or I was 4 going on 5. This is the mothership and the actual ship of the Hive Mind that beamed me up and transferred up my whole family to the mothership. And you note that you can see a bright light on top. That's like an observation platform. And here's the inside of the ship. My whole family was sitting on a bench, and I was playing on the floor. My sister, she was the last one to be examined. And I'm going to read this. Okay, the mothership. The child's family was taken by a smaller craft to a mothership, where they were examined individually. After being examined to protect their fragile minds, a voice said, "You will not remember anything." The witness did not want. I'm the witness, by the way. In the book, first book on RJK or RK, I didn't like that, so I decided to call myself witness. The witness did not want to forget and began a mantra saying over, "Don't forget." And I awakened within an alien's mind. And that's where my nightmares began. And it lasted for at least 12 years. During this whole time, I was visited by myself, an older self from the future, where we talked behind a barn. And this dialogue spread out from age 4 to age 9. We discussed time travel, destiny, and the delicate balance between choice and fate. And they took me to different places in time to try to teach me different ways of thinking. They're trying to heal my mind. They led us journeys through time with the Hive Mind. Each temporal voyage impacts lessons and cosmic education. the Hive Mind trying to repair the damage to the boy's mind. Noticeably, experiences include Black Wall Street and life on the Erie Canal. The Walled City. In an ancient twilight, the witness stood, a man of the times, at the gates of a Middle Eastern city. His pockets were filled with silver coins. The stern gatekeepers granted him entry. As night fell, he joined a joyous celebration, dancing until dawn. I remember wandering around in stairways, listening for parties. And when I found one, I started reveling just with everybody who was there. And in the morning, I woke up in an outer open area, and I had a pretty bad headache. And the ship took me back to where I was, back to Minnesota, Bagley, in school, or wherever I was. Life on the Erie Canal. In that bygone era, the town adorned with a boardwalk, shimmering in gaslight's glow. By night, lanterns lit the path like stars, and the bridge, a silent sentinel, carried the quiet thread of peaceful sojourners. And I was within this boy right here that's doing the donkey. My mind was his mind. And I just watched and listened without letting him know I was there. The donkey. I navigated the canal, reaching a grand hotel and mingling with joyous children. Yet a marshy secret lingered, holding memories best forgotten. The tapestry of simpler times left an incredible, bittersweet imprint on myself. Black, Black Wall Street was horrible. The witness watched within a little girl while white people dragged black victims to a bandstand, binding them to a pole, inflicting unspeakable torture and discarding their lifeless bodies in a gruesome pile. The little girl, as night fled into day, the girl emerged from her hiding place, and she was in a park, watching the whole thing, hiding under a bush. Tiptoed until a barking dog made her run in terror to the edge of the town near the railway. With others, she left and never returned. Another one that was to World War II, a cinema, an abandoned, bombed out town with a band of children using the cinema as a sanctuary. Without adults, children write their own rules. They scavenge for food and play their games. The witness found himself within a boy amidst the ruins, confronted by the march of an enemy. As they marched by, fear gripped me. The ship intervened, transporting me away from the perilous scene. I was caught up in a building that only had a couple walls that were there, still full. And inside they marched by, all the wall was down. So it really frightened me by. I was scared, really bad. And the ship took me away. World War II. The witness embodied a middle-aged man, faced a moral dilemma in a town besieged by conflict. As the Americans approached, a plan of escape hinged on forged papers. To escape, a sacrifice said to me. They had to give up a child, a boy, a young boy, to the Nazis, and before they could actually continue. And the man felt very, very bad about that. He knows that it was a sacrifice that had to be made. Supernova, Betelgeuse, the red giant, supergiant star will soon explode. The witness eyes, wide with wonder, sees the birth of a neutron star or perhaps a black hole. I was hiding the first 4 days, and a man that was within this, actually there was a pipe that had an entry, a tube where he could climb down a ladder and a hatch on it. And he hid there until this actually happened. But he peeked out and saw this. Okay, this was the maglev train. I was there all night long from middle of the afternoon all night, and in the morning I came to a city. The witness found himself in the future aboard a maglev train coursing through the night. The journey culminates in a solitary cityscape at dawn, where he confronts an empty world. I didn't see any houses or lights, roads, with traffic. It was nothing. It was nothing but fields. And in the fields, there were like huge machines that looked all automated, that had loading areas that the maglev train could be loaded from. The jury felt an act of defiance against the ship's directive leads to a profound moment of self-realization and the haunting question of reality's fabric. As soon as I got there into what I think it was an appointment, I think it was a clinic, I took him over and walked into the bathroom and looked into the mirror. I was having trouble with reality, and what I saw was not my face, and it profoundly affected me. The ship took me back to third grade, where I was being shaken and screamed at by the teacher, and all the kids were looking at me when I came to. That was the last trip they took me on in time until I was in seventh grade. Okay, this is the last refuge of mankind. The last refuge of mankind, where the sun ravages the earth. The witness is an old man with dementia living within a mountain sanctuary. The old man's daughter knew within her father was an interloper with cognitive abilities. The witness revealed his true self, and friendship flowed into a love for each other. This isn't my last book. I never told this to anybody yet. Years flowed by, filled with celebrations, reserved holidays, births, and marriages. You can read that last part. One day the old man succumbed to old age. I was there for a long time. I returned to seventh grade. I didn't remember my locker number. I didn't remember the classes I was supposed to go to. I didn't remember where I was supposed to sit. I had to go to the office and get all that information and try to explain why I forgot. Of course, I couldn't tell them where it was. The Hive Mind AI ship. The Hive Mind wanted the witness to know how to operate the ship, as if the witness was being prepared for an important mission. The Hive Mind creatures have access to these 6 chambers by a tube running around the inside of the craft, the disk. Within the ship, the chambers hold a pilot and a crew of 5 grays. The grays are mindless, telepathically controlled. They are the arms, eyes, and legs used by the Hive Mind. And this is what it's like to fly the ship. Within the mind's eye, I would be projected objects from nearby celestial objects, and by simply grabbing them, I could actually navigate the ship there. In the mind's eye, nearby celestial objects appeared. The witness needs only to grab one to navigate there. A layer of sensors on the ship's skin send 360-degree visual data to the mind's eye, like normal vision, with the excess vision seen as peripheral vision. Move by thinking simply up, down, forward, backwards, stop at any speed. That witness, I felt like I was the ship. I couldn't see the ship. I could see everything around it, but not myself. Learning to pilot the ship. The witness I took the ship straight up to see the Earth as a globe. The first time I actually was given control of the ship. And all I could do was say, it's a long way down. Not seeing how beautiful it was. Later, I really regretted that. Then it took me to Mars. Now, this was overnight. It didn't take anything longer than the blink of an eye to get there and back again. One night, the Hive Mind takes me to Mars, landing over and over till it was no longer frightening. And I was screaming the whole time. The entire trip takes one night, a blink of an eye, and back. The directive from the ship mind to operate the spacecraft and practice landing on Mars is as if being prepared for a crucial mission. I said that earlier. And this is 1966. And there's two Russian on deck. The Hive Mind came back early in the morning and took me before the bus came. In Russia, I meet a young man showing me the way to end my nightmare. We are taken up by the ship, telepathically connected, and I relive his dreams and my dreams. And from that, I learned how to control my fear and actually let evil things, what I thought was evil, pass through me and without affecting me at all, where I'd wake up and be screaming otherwise. The ship's mind wants to see if all its flying lessons had been remembered. So it gave control to the ship to me to return to Minnesota, Bagley, my hometown. And over the River Valley, here's where I first had thought the ship was the only thing that was lit a semi-section. It was just like a computer, a smart one, AI. But I was flying over, and I was looking how flat, and I wondered why is it so flat. And the ship started shooting images at me and giving me thoughts and information about geological ages past, why it's flat. Okay, and after it was done with that, I had to, I asked what it was. And that's where I realized now that the ship didn't answer me, the Hive Mind answered me, because it gave me information about how it evolved on its planet. So the ship projected to me, the glaciers, the whispers of vanished rivers, contours of ancient land. At the right moment, I asked the Hive Mind, what are you? And here, this is Bagley coming in, and look, this is an aerial view of Bagley. Years later, by the internet, I confirmed some of my memories were actually did happen. April 22nd, 1966, Bagley, Minnesota. This is a recording of the time. Several people were said to have observed a flying object at low altitude and land outside Bagley. Four dwarfs, that's kind of funny, seemed to make repairs. Then the craft flew away. Ray Palmer, flying saucers, 1967. The next report really jolted me because I remembered almost hitting the bus. It was like the whole craft bang. I heard a real loud bang. And April 22nd, 1966, an orange sphere was seen flying over the coast of, I don't know how to pronounce that, Portugal at 9 p.m. local time. At 3:30 p.m. CDT, within an hour of the sighting in Portugal, a flying saucer flew down the main street of Vegas. At a low altitude, jumped over a school bus and landed on the outskirts of town. Four grains of small statues, that sounds better, got out of the UFO, seemed to do some work on it, and got back in and flew off. Now, this has got like four different places where it was actually done. And this is kind of a picture I drew of flying over Portugal, going back home. And here's my depiction of actually flying down Main Street, how low I was going. And the size of the craft can be measured by, this hasn't changed. Bagley is only that small town of about 1,200 people back then, and probably less now. But this craft was pretty small. I mean, there's only chambers in here, like coffins that I was situated in, and the graves around in a circular pattern. The witness reaches Bagley, buzzes down Main Street, and lands the craft near the fairground. Chip feeds me out the back of the craft, and I crawl away through the tall grass. The next day, I forged a excuse saying that I'd been sick. That's the first time I ever did that. Starting the Friday. The one thing at this time, the ship knew that I didn't want to go with it. It asked me to be taken. I didn't want to go with it. I wanted to be able to have a career, be married, have a wife and kids. So it came up the thought of a trauma that I could hide behind to forget all this information, so I could live a normal. So in 1906, the Hive Mind, perceiving my desires to have a career, wife, children, suggested, this to me, a trauma, setting a fire behind my barn on my land, on my father's land, and my mother's land. The choice was made, and the witness, I became observed, watched the Hive Mind, oversaw the unfolding drama. I walked down to get the cows. Walking back, I walked by a tree, and in one step, I remember it was gone. Everything that I knew was gone. I wondered what the fighters were doing behind our barn. I had no memory of starting it. My dad asked me if I started it, and I said, I'm not sure. He gave me a good whack across the face. But I didn't remember that. But later in my life, I did remember. Abduction in Carver County Park, 1984. During a meteor shower at Carver County Park, amidst the stargazers, a mysterious ship appeared. Campers found a silent cube, alive, beamed up one by one into the waiting spaceship. Run, shouted, and they obeyed. They just took off, all of them. There was up to 50 people there. It was a busy weekend because of the meteor shower. I was clutching my son, and I sought refuge in the caretaker's residence right here. That was very close. And from the kitchen window, I glimpsed and saw them approaching. So we sprinted to a nearby shed. Okay, on the way out, I noticed there were keys. I grabbed them, and I was able to open the shed up. But I couldn't close the door, lock it from within. It probably wouldn't have me anyway, to just being this in out. But they found us there. My son also was there with us, and he remembers it. There's his recollection in the book that I wrote, and in the first book that was written by Bill. And within 2 weeks later, it came back. The Hive Mind came back. It came and visits. Okay, and this is my son. In my childhood, a mysterious encounter at my grandmother's house left a lasting impression. I recalled raisins that seemed to dance from my dreams into reality. This peculiar memory, shared with similar memories of my father, has become a curious part of our family's history. One night, these beings led me to an unexpected meeting with my father. So we were both abducted at the same time. My father urged me to resist their influence. Despite this, I told him I should kick him, and he kicked him in the face. I mean, hit him in the face, kicked him in the shins, and it didn't respond at all. Despite this, I felt a strange kinship with these. My voice felt a strange kinship with these beings, and we followed them into the end. Now, here's where they actually physical time travel. Before all my time travels was just my mind, take my mind into the future or into the past. And I think I found out why they did that during this time travel in 1958. The ship allowed me to see its inner working. And this is the cutaway of the ship, and me helping to see the canisters that we'd actually, be riding. And here's a crystal and a torah that was inside. Returning from 1958, the witness chooses, I choose to forget what happened there. But my younger self still remembers. So when I was 8 years old, I remember my older self coming to visit me in a 5-acre field where I met my older self. In 1958, Hive Mind. The witness' younger self remembers being awoken late at night, sensing something big was going to happen. I run to the living room picture window to see several ships parade past the picture window. Two grays took, took me to a 5-acre field to meet my older self. Now, this is the field, and this is me when I was like 34 years old. And I think I was a pretty good looking guy. This is close to me when I was 18 years old, and this is the sunflower thing, that one stock thing. It looked like a sunflower. It had a body. It could run fast. It was like it couldn't stop moving. It was like it was being blown in the wind, and it was just jabbering to others there. I stopped. And, they didn't tell me what it was because I was so absorbed by looking at it that I didn't want to go on. I just kept on looking at it. But yeah. The stop of our abduction took us back in time to 1958, where a group of aliens and my 8-year-old self were waiting. Right. That was my. He's taking off. Okay. My 8-year-old self were watching. The aliens assured him that the abductions would cease. A promise remembered by my younger self, but not by my older self. And after this event, the abductions did stop. The younger witness, 8 years old, sees the flower. You see, so I'd already told you so about. I had to stop and look at it. It looked like a summer, except that it jumped around, talking about, like I said, that cartoon character, and that's what I saw too. My son saw it later, back in 1978. But I'd like to go back here to 1958 again. When I returned from 1958, I woke up and saw within the chamber 2 graves that were all broken to pieces. And I didn't like what I saw. I said, I don't want to remember any of this. So that's why I don't remember actually being. But there's more involved in just this meeting. Sunflower Man, 1978, on a hayride at his grandmother's. My son, at 5, sees dogs barking and chasing a being that looks like a sunflower plant. The witness, 1958 is when I saw it. He saw it in 1978. And after we got together and started talking about it, we realized it was the same being, same creature. 20 years later. Okay, here's where it gets kind of interesting. In 1960, in the high school library, I was reading a book on lasers. The Traveler. Okay, this is the guy that came back, and me, when I came back in 1958, spoke within my mind, take the path of electronics. The Traveler, me, from 1984, had traveled back in 1958. And returning to 1984, the traveler knew a single decision had unraveled his timeline, leaving him adrift. It was nothing new. I wasn't there at all. In fact, I don't think even my home was there. I had to go back in time to try to trace steps, seeking a pivotal moment when choices diverged. And here I could have, I don't think even my farm was there. I had to go way back to my great-great-grandfather and make sure that he built a ship that took my great-grandfather to America and they built their own ship and sailed in 1800s. I can't remember. Oh, no, I didn't know. But they sailed over here, and when they sailed over here, they started uh, uh, started sawing lumber in Wisconsin because that's what this one family that came with them did back in Germany. They had a saw uh, business that would saw logs and stuff like that. So they built the ship, came over here in Wisconsin, and from there, uh, I would have to get a hold of them and tell them there was land available in Bagley, Minnesota, that was owned by a landowner that was uh, bottom land. It was too wet to actually take the lumber off of it. So all the original lumber was still standing on about 1,000 acres. But I might get into that later. I can't remember. But in 1985, I overheard my mother question about alien abductions. I was about, what, 34 at the time. And from that time, I'd been living, with no memories of what was going on, except I had a feeling that something happened when I was in 3 or 4 years, or 4 or 5 years old, and that was very young, being abducted. I didn't forget that, but I overheard my mother talking to two people at the party, and by overhearing, I realized that something really did happen to me when I was younger. When I started sharing my encounters with my family and found out my boy had also been raised when he was young, and I had memories that I had also. He cornered me and asked me, "Could you tell your side of the story and tell me what you said?" He didn't say what he said. He waited for me to fill in the blank line because he wanted to know if it really happened or not. He thought it was a dream, but then he realized, no, it's really happened. This is what the Hive Mind told me when I was over at Red River Valley. I didn't put the fact that they were living the Hive Mind. I thought they were extinct. I thought it was just the craft talking to me, the AI. But over the Red River Valley, you have what are you? The Hive Mind, an entity from my distant planet, reveals itself. It evolved in its ocean from black smoke in the bottom of the ocean. The Hive Mind is older than the Earth. It learned to alter its own eggs to make other forms of life. It created an explorer to visit the surface of the oceans after it discovered radiations from the surface. And this is what it looked like, very close to this. It was the first time that the Hive Mind actually was able to see anything. They were blind, deaf, worms that had no limbs or other ways other than swimming around themselves in balls. The living telescope, that's what I call it. Okay. Amidst the cosmic expanse, stars twinkled like fireflies. The sun, a distant ember, awoke, casting rays that painted the sky in vibrant colors. The Hive Mind witnessed its first sunrise, understood the paradox of the significance and its insignificance. Attempting to explore beyond the solar system, they created telepathically controlled spacecraft. After finding no sentient life, they seeded life across other worlds. However, their first experiment, a dark mirror of themselves, led to war. So there are two Hive Minds, one an evil one and one that actually I met. And the one I met actually took me to a world that was controlled by this mad Hive Mind. And this is what I saw. I wasn't one of these guys waiting to feed himself. Okay, they were just fed from tubes. It was their all their what they call it? What is force? Okay, sustenance. Okay, I'll just read it. Beings, hollow-eyed, blank, huge, like automation, automation, substance and stuffing their way, devoid of purpose. And during this time, after only what 5 or 6 minutes, the mad hive mind uh, came and said, "I see you." And the good hive mind took me away as fast as it could. In 1954, I had forced my way into the other hive mind, the good hive mind, mine. The hive mind now beckoned me to merge with its creation. The hive mind, the witness, and the mad hive mind, one consciousness. I would say that with both hive minds, I would taste all the victories, all the losses, and all the longing. The war would no longer be possible. So this is why the hive mind groomed me the way it did. It realized that I could enter its mind and become one with it, and that I could do it with the evil hive mind. And once done, there we would have shared all our memories. They couldn't fight anymore. These are the small graves. Graves were shaped by the hive mind's ancient knowledge. Their existence whispers of necessity, and design. And there the graves treaded where others faltered. Their forms unyielding to a bad Martin skill. No suits, no visors, just skin against the void. Precursors, they are the ancestors of today's small graves. The graves, living spaces, absorb toxins, filtered radiation. When contaminated, they sacrifice themselves for the greater good. So they're, were mindless. They were controlled by the hive mind. Basically, well, the hive mind were just worms. They couldn't see and they never did learn what hearing. They I they didn't do it. In fact, it doesn't talk. The hive mind never talked to me. It gave me thoughts and visual information, but it never said a word to me. That's why I thought that it didn't. It was extinct, and the ship was talking to me, not the hive mind. But after listening to its story over the river valley, I realized that and thinking about it for 70 years, I eventually came to an idea that it's still alive. Okay, this is the ship's quantum engine. And this is why I wrote the book, because it was nudging, wanting me to write this, to know what the function of the ship was. It showed me back in 1958, no, 1984. It opened itself up and I could see it, and it showed me its functions, but I had no words for those functions. But today, there are scientific names and experiments that I can actually say, this is what the ship was and what it wants me to say. The witness has been researching scientific knowledge to create a theory to explain its operation. In 1984, I was able to see its functions, and it filled my mind. In 1924, science can now describe the functioning of the ship. The quantum engine, an electric plasma propulsion used in space travel, uses no burning propellant. This plasma propulsion system generates thrust within two toroids. One toroid containing normal plasma, and the other toroid containing entangled particles and a graphene sheet. A time-varying magnetic field within the chamber wall spins both the upper and lower toroids fully ionized plasma. A helical coil winding around the main coil is used to suppress back EMF in the primary coils to drive the ship. Photons bounce. Come on. Photons bounce back and forth through mirrored surfaces at both ends of the crystal, stimulating more electrons between higher and lower energy states. By compressing the laser light with high density gradient photons and passing the photons through both normal and entangled plasma, a transformative beam is created that transports materials to and from the ship. The output from the quantum engine can be swiveled in any direction below the ship. So it can actually beam me up and move an object into a chamber like that. Or it can open up and you get into a chamber. I've done it both ways. Mostly I was beamed right in. The only opened itself up one time back in 1984. Now, this is what I could not understand it was trying to tell me. But when I asked it, it showed me where your energy came from, where its energy came from. I saw an area in space that was filled with energy, bright energy. But teleportation of energy, something now we've studied and know is proper, exists. We've done experimentation on it. Recent research has explored the concept of bidirectional quantum energy teleportation, where quantum states can be transmitted to a remote site to a ship across any distance across the universe. Using entanglement as a power source has the possibilities of creating a non-local engine. Half of it in engine could be in New York, while the other half could be in California. The arrow of time. The arrow of time is a concept in physics that describes the direction of time. In a new study, researchers manipulated the arrow of time using a very tiny quantum computer made of two quantum particles. Physicists describe the state of the system through a construct called a wave function. This new study discusses an experiment where researchers used a quantum computer to reverse the arrow of time for a very brief moment. This was achieved by manipulating the wave function of two quantum particles known as qubits. The quantum chip, surfing the fabric of space-time. By harnessing the superposition, the delicate dance of quantum states, it could evolve both forward and backwards in time. Its hull resonated with the teleported pent-up energy of gluons, mass dwindling to at least 3%. The gluons actually hold other particles within it, and the energy is like 95% of our mass. If you deplete that energy that the gluons are penting up, you will only weigh 3% of what you were. Harmonic vibrations further reduce this way, allowing the ship to travel through the temporal scenes of the quantum world. Within the ship's crystal core, qubits dance, a synthesis of information. Each qubit particle recording details about its resin particles, encoding their essence. The quantum information is teleported to a remote site. Graphene, electrically modified, forms the ship's armor. Its lattice structure allows only massless particles, those that surf the waves of probability, to tunnel through and back inside the crack. The quantum chip becomes a shield, a guardian against the chaos of the cosmos. And so the quantum chip rides the probabilistic wave function, spanning all space-time. It surfs the crest of uncertainty, its tangled particles dancing in harmony. Past the future merge, and the ship becomes a cosmic anomaly, a ripple in the quantum sea. A distant location tracks the ship's entangled particles. Its quantum gaze follows its trajectory, and when the desired spatial coordinate is reached, the remote location acts. The ship's quantum information is teleported back, completing the loop. The quantum ship sails, a vessel of paradox, a vessel of promise. Its wake leaves ripples in the cosmic fabric, whispering secrets to the stars as it surfs the waves of existence. It carries the hopes of a universe yet to be explored. This is the invisible ship. I was with a friend on the Mississippi, looking out the sky, and I saw something. It was right here, not easy to see. But I looked right at it and I pointed it to my friend, and he couldn't see it, but it was there. It was like the sky was. They were just floating on the Mississippi with a friend, eyes scanning the horizon, and then appeared a vague outline of a ship. The witness point is that the thread saw. In 1998, I actually met myself on the sidewalks of Minnesota. Now, I'll just read it. The witness was beckoned telepathically. You will give me all your money. I was at work at my desk, and I was furious. I said, no way. So I left my desk and stepped away. And there on the streets, the traveler, me, from when I was older, I haven't done it yet. Oddly dated clothes clung to his frame, tapestry of eras. Do you have any spare cash? He said. I said, I didn't expect that at all. I expected, yeah, give me some change. Without a hesitation, I just pulled out my billfold and I gave him. And we just looked at each other for a little while and I walked away. And I don't know what that is. Okay, I'm almost done. The Hive Mind visited me in 2003. Okay, this is behind my house. This is a lamp from across the street, and it dropped out of the cloud, and it was spinning, and it spun this cloud all the way around it, and then actually it looked like a cloud. But while it was doing that, it did not look like a cloud; it was spinning. And this is me and the same lamp and trees back in when is this? This is only 10 years later. No, this is like now. I took this picture with my wife took it just a week ago. And so I think it just wanted to know where I was living, where to pick me up when the time came. These are some notes that I wrote at the end of the book. And I'm about to become the traveler once again. I met myself twice in Minneapolis. The second time, I looked like I do now. And the guy didn't say, I didn't say anything to myself, the other self. He just opened his mouth and gave me a real wide grin and showed me his teeth. My family doesn't have the teeth. Mine rotted out a long time ago, and I started making my own bridges because I'm an industrial arts major. And I know how to use plastic, so I made bridges, and eventually I started making full dentures for upper and lower. I only had two teeth left by the time I went into Clear Choice and did an implant. I'm still waiting for my final teeth. They didn't do the bottom ones right, so they had to do it again. And each time that happens, you have to wait 4 weeks, and then on 5 weeks. And I'm on the first week, so I have 4 more weeks to go, and I'll get my final teeth in 4 weeks. And I think I have to go back and tell my younger self not to waste your money on dentists. Do your own thing. And that's what I got out of that one week with myself on the streets of Minneapolis. And my journey continues. And this is one reason why I wanted to write this, because don't know if I'm going to be coming back. But I would volunteer to take a lie detector test. I would pass everything that's in this book. I guarantee that. One thing I have not said is I still have a connection with the Hive Mind. It is part of my mind, but I don't know it's there. It doesn't speak to me. It never did speak to me. But I know it puts thoughts into my head, and I know it puts thoughts into my head about this ship's function. And what I wrote here, I no is right. I've had it checked. This is experimentation. These are words and theory that correspond to where we're headed. We're headed into an age of AI. And during this era, we're going to be in profound problems. And it's going to be hard to make it through the next 20, 30 years. But we stand at the crossroads of possibility. And we have to go through this. The Hive Mind did when it created its first AI. But once created, that AI is going to know everything. Now, we just specialize. You know, scientists, you study one thing, and that's what you understand. This AIs now will know everything and will enhance our own minds. But in the process, we're going to become dumb. Okay, do you guys have any questions at all? Are you guys even listening?
Okay, we're looking for questions in the room or in the chat. We got one in the chat?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yes, stop sharing.
If you want to stop sharing, Roger, that'd be cool. Any questions?
Okay.
in the room?
There we go. There we go.
Questions in the room? Oh, yes, I got a question over here.
You could ask Roger if he would tell the story of his wife and the gumball machine. I'm not sure whether he wants to tell that or not.
Oh, okay, I specified. I'm going to have to tell the one about the little rain cloud that screwed across clear sky, though. One you won't believe. But okay, yeah. We were walking down a food court, and I stopped and said to my wife, you know, I need to tell you that I will know things, and you'll have to listen. I said, if we go into this store, this taco place, there was a big gumball machine. I said, if we go put a quarter in, we'll get a free meal. And of course, he said, no way, could that be possible? And so we went in there and got it. And there was a free meal, a little plastic instead of a toy. And later in life, when we were living in Rochester, Minnesota, my son had three friends that they would drive around, doing things that they shouldn't do. And I had to really, I couldn't stay there in Rochester. I had to leave to come to Minneapolis. And I didn't know why, but I felt like my younger son was in danger there. And once we got to Minneapolis, I had my new job at Norwest. Three of his friends died in car accident. He would have been there with him. So, and this is not the first time. My father was on the Great Lakes, and his next birth was going to be the Fitzgerald, and that's the ship that sank, and everybody aboard died. And I convinced him to quit the Great Lakes and become a farmer, and he became a bus driver, and was a great grandfather to my kid. But okay, I'm going to have to tell a story about the rain cloud. When I was like 14 years old, I was standing by our garden, and it was really dry, and a small cloud marched across the street, across the sky from the horizon, came over me, stopped, and let out all its water onto me and our garden. Okay, I could step out of the rain into the rain, back and forth, and the cloud simply dissipated as it dumped all the water on the garden. And Bill was not believe that. I could see it in his face. Okay. Any more questions?
Other questions? Yes, in the back.
I missed the beginning of the program, so I'm just wondering how many different types of alien entities had he met? Not in one group, but did he meet more than one group of aliens?
Back in 1958, I was taken to a field when I was 8 years old. My oldest self doesn't remember it, but he was there too. The field was filled with different aliens. Filled. I mean, there were like 34 people and 34 different aliens. all looking different. And when I was 8, they told me to go to the window and watch the ship come in. And there were several, 10 or 15 of them. It took a long time for them all to go by. And then the Grays, 12 tiny Grays came and took me back to the 5-acre field where I met myself. And they all passed by us, looking at us, and they were told, never are you to abduct these 2 people. So my older self and my younger self saw that, but I don't remember what my younger self does. And I remember being there when I was 8. And I remember when I was in 1960 or 59, I'm not sure. I was in the high school library, and my older self came to me and said, "You better take electronics as your profession, because if you don't, my timeline doesn't exist." Any more questions?
Yes, anyone? Yes, another question, follow-up?
Yeah, have there been very many, alien entities that are a bit negative towards humans, like the reptilians or anything like that?
No, this whole group of aliens were here to study us, record how we live. I mean, we live in a farm environment that everybody was for everybody else. They weren't just all taking care of themselves. I remember when I was little, sitting by a pile of grain that was being combined by a combine, and it was connected with a long belt to a steam tractor. And everybody in the, all the neighbors were taking shucks of corn, taking it to the combine and combining it. And then, truck with, a vehicle, maybe it was just a hayride with horses, would take it and dump it into this pile that was sitting there. But they were not for this. Once we got tractors, there were gas engines. Everybody had their own equipment. They didn't care about the neighbors. But that's when they came and visited us. They wanted to know how we lived back then, how we could maybe possibly live in the future together. The whole technology thing that we're going through has made us alienated, all of us, to each other. Any more questions?
How old are you?
What's that?
She asked how old you were, if you don't mind saying.
Oh, I'm 74 next month. And I've seen myself on the streets of Minneapolis when I was in my 90s. It was an old man, but it was me.
And it sounds like we got one question in the chat.
Melanie had a question. Will there be enlightenment, or does the hive mind work in different reality/dimensions, and does it freeze time?
Did you catch that?
You can't stop time, but you can travel in time. It travels in 2 directions, especially in the quantum realm. If you can reduce your mass and actually slip into the quantum realm as a wave function, you're everywhere. Okay? The whole universe, instantly, all at one time. Only the remote device that's connected to the entangled particles within the ship and in the ship's armor. The ship is actually made of an entangled molecule and graphite sheets to be able to control, hold in and out all of the energy that the gluons have been depleted from. So it's only 3% of what it used to weigh. This is why I can stop and start on a dime as fast as you can possibly go. There's no inertia at all when you're inside that ship. I don't know, did I answer your question? I don't think I did. What was the question again?
She says thank you.
Okay. Oh,
Yep.
they
Got another-
travel in time.
Got another question in the room here?
Tom, maybe you can translate for me, but I see a loop. I see a young boy growing up, becoming an old man, going back to see the young boy. That now young boy then becomes an old man, has to go back. Where is my logic where that would end?
Did you catch that?
Yeah, and I'm beginning to understand what happened. And back in 1984, I traveled back in time physically and affected the timeline. And I had to go back. Know how far I had to go back. I think maybe my farm wasn't even there. I didn't even exist. I had to go back to my great-great-grandfather in Germany and tell him, you've got to leave the country. The Prussians are coming. They'll take your land and take your life. He took it seriously and left the country and gave his land to his church that lived there. Gave away his land and built a ship with another family and sailed over back in the 1800s to America. Started a sawmill in Wisconsin where I had to travel again to tell my family there's land in Bagley that a land baron didn't strip because it was too wet. It was lowland. It was land they couldn't take the lumber from. So everything was still there when they moved into these thousand, when they started homesteading. The whole family, the Richardson family, that's what they were back then. And that's where my farm came from. And my father, my grandfather, I think my great grandfather, I'm not sure, but he was a rum runner. And he'd take, he had a whole fleet of ships that would go to America and rum. On the way back, one time he lost all his ships. He was the only one who survived. Somebody tied him to the top of the mast, and he was going in and out of the water. And they caught him, took him out of there. He wasn't right anymore after that, but they were destitute. He used to bring home bags of gold and throw it on the table, and they'd play with it, the kids, my dad. And my dad ended up coming over when he was 8 years old across the ocean to live here. And they moved to Bagley and got a job. Well, their parents kicked him out of the house because they couldn't afford to keep him. So him and his older brother worked for my grandfather on the farm and grew up there and ended up marrying my mother. So I think maybe I had to go back in time to make all that happen. That's why when I came back after 1984, everything was gone. The timeline was gone. It wasn't there anymore. So I had to influence the timeline to actually be born in a timeline that existed. And I'm in a loop. I'm in a time loop. I have to go back. I have no choice. I'm done. Am I over my time yet?
No, we got quite a bit of time left.
Okay, go ahead. I'll answer questions so I can.
Yeah, the meeting goes to about the top of the hour, so if you want to do another half hour, that'd be perfect.
I'm for it. There's
Cool.
things in the book that I haven't talked about, that I see differently now because I've had time to think about it. I have memories that have come back that I didn't have when Bill McNeff did that book. I told him what I could. I didn't give Craig Lang very much. I was too scared at the time. I was like 34 then. And I was very tight-lipped about it. So what he put down in the back of the book isn't close to what Bill got out of me over 8 years of doing emails. I think it was that long. I'm not sure. Is that right, Bill?
What was that? I couldn't quite understand that.
Oh, okay. How long did we communicate over email?
How long, what?
We don't have to.
We communicate over email.
Yeah,
That's
we can
Bill's good anyway.
We can communicate by email.
You know, how long have you been communicating with him over email?
Year,
Yeah, yeah.
it's, 19, I mean, since 2008, something like that. Oh.
He says about since 2008 or so.
But thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
Okay, any more questions?
What was that?
Any more questions?
Yeah, any more questions?
I'll get closer.
Any questions in the chat?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like we're out of questions. So Roger, I want to thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It was good to have you.
Okay, oh, I did want to say something now. If you go to northmufon.com,
Yep.
I have a link to my domain, and I've got the presentation I just gave you there. I also have Bill's third edition of the book that I've gone over and reformatted and put in new pictures that I just showed you, and more pictures that I didn't show you. And I have my book for sale. And I will give 50% of the proceeds to MUFON. Anybody that buys it from Northland.
Nice, nice. Thank you. So what are you saying? You can get the book and you can get the PowerPoint presentation that he just showed and an updated version, and anything you purchase there, he'll 50% goes to MUFON. So I want to thank you for that. Very generous, Roger.
Okay, yeah.
And that's northlandmufon.com.
Okay, bye. I'm going.
Cool.
Leave me.
Okay, so thank you very much, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the presentation with Roger Kvande. Yeah, so next month, no meeting next month, and then August will be online only. We'll be online only for a few months. We're working on some different things, but hope you enjoyed all that. Thank you for coming out today. Have a fantastic weekend. Be safe, everybody. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in a couple months.